Howdy. Can you hear me? Are you there?
There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to pop my earbud back into the charging case and pop it back out real quick because I had it set aside on the counter there, and because it was not connected
You should
for a little
probably
bit,
check out
I
the
timed out.
thumbnail I chose.
Oh, hold on a second. Let's see this. I gotta see this larger. Hold up. Subscriptions. That is a good question. What the hell am I looking at?
Apparently, that, or actually, I'm going to bring it up here in just a second. Hang on 1 second, and I'll show you I'm showing off. Where is it?
Put that back on the character.
Give me 1 second here.
Good thing. Thank you, son.
The fuck? Hold on. There, yeah, there it is. All right.
Enjoying the yogurt, buddy? Glad to see you finally eating it. Ah, the infinite loop.
Yeah, so we need to get into this because it is a thing.
What is this? I feel like I should know this character for some reason.
Just be glad you don't, but I'm about to tell you anyway.
Okay.
That is the new Hawkeye.
Hawkeye? Like
As in bow and
comics?
arrow, Marvel, yes.
Marvel Comics Hawkeye?
Yes.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
non-binary.
Oh, who gives a fuck?
And they're an Indian descent or native descent.
Okay.
And it gets better. They refer to Captain America as you white people in the comic. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I was just bestowed this great knowledge, if not total brain rot here.
No, knowledge is useful. This
But
is
it's
not.
knowledge of the fact that it exists. That's
Right.
the only knowledge I will even go as far as calling it knowledge.
I'll grant you that having opposition research information available is always good to have on hand. I suppose you're right there. Um, if it gets the only way to get much more blatant or obvious with these sorts of alterations to intellectual property, the only step further that they could go is just to outright say, "Hey, are you a straight white dude? We want to kill you." That's the only step that's left.
Yep.
At this point, for years and years, I have found that my biggest complaint, well, not my biggest complaint, my second biggest complaint about BitChute as a video hosting platform is that unfortunately, it has kind of earned a lot of its reputation for hosting a whole battery of overly aggressive, snide, contemptible white nationalists. Like these are some brutally fucking hard in that direction people. The sort of folks who make me kind of cringe and go, "Oh God, like you guys are a little too overboard with this shit."
Yeah.
This kind of stuff makes me pause and go, maybe I need to hear them out. That shouldn't happen. Like you claim to want to be so inclusive, but apparently all the word inclusive is at this point is a watchword or doublespeak for we'll include everybody except you if you happen to be a straight white dude, especially if you're anywhere in the ages of 22 to 55. How you doing, monkey? How you doing, monkey man?
It says Camp explained that during the process of writing the Ultimates issue number 5, he researched water protectors in Standing Rock. The indigenous lead activist movement is largely associated with Standing Rock. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Reservation in North Dakota, whose members and their allies joined together from 2016 and 2017 to protest the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Its alleged violation of tribal treaty rights and threat is posed to the tribe reservation's primary water source. And
okay, so yeah, I do remember that they had like a genuine ecological concern. And look, I am willing to hear you out if you have a genuine ecological concern, something that is actually demonstrably or provably going to cause problems for the people who live in the region and who access that body of water, if it's an aquifer, as their primary water source. I understand those concerns, and those genuinely deserve due time and attention and have an environmental impact study of some sort conducted upon it. And if it's going to turn out to be too dangerous and polluting to that body of water, then yeah, I'm gonna be more than happy to hear those concerns out. But if you fold those genuine humanitarian concerns in with a message of, by the way, we're only concerned if you happen to be a member of X, Y, and Z indigenous tribe peoples or X, Y, or Z ethnicity, or yeah, I know, I am yammering. if you have to wrap it in with a message of we want to do what's best and
Here we
beneficial
go.
for everyone except for you, I tend to start to shy away.
Let's see here.
I got to get him a cup of water here. Hold on a second.
All right.
Okay, I see the frame. You white people will believe anything. Do the folks
Cowboys
at
killing Indians. Cowboys killing Indians. I'm looking at another one of his or its lines in here. Apparently, I can get the whole comic here. It's the Ultimates issue number 5.
Do these people just hate money? Like, I'm sorry, but when the vast majority of your potential consumer base is the very people you're going to denigrate, growl at, snarl,
Hold on. Their
holding
starting
contempt.
line with this character is, "So they sent a cowboy, huh?" Because he's fuck it. I'm gonna call it is referring to Captain America as a cowboy.
Is he dressed like a cowboy?
No.
Okay, so then what denotes him being a quote unquote cowboy? It wouldn't happen to be the color of his skin, would it? Awfully racist of them. What the fuck?
Look at this.
This shit always only go in one direction.
Trying to zoom in on that a little bit more, but it's doing its thing here.
Like, at what point in any comic book line from Marvel has Steve Rogers ever been perceived as a quote cowboy?
You see that right there, right?
Yes. So they sent a cowboy, huh? You know, I want to almost say, well, it's the Ultimates storyline or universe, so who cares?
The fuck? You're one of those Ultimates, so I don't know, to blow up a school or something?
What?
What the fuck does that mean?
Wait, I can't read the dialogue.
It says, "You're one of those Ultimates, so I don't know, to blow up a school or something?"
I think that's actually a reference or an allusion to when Marvel did the first line or set of Ultimate comics, because it's an alternate universe. One of the exciting
cowboy.
incidents,
nah, you a cowboy.
It doesn't use
Gary
a gun.
Cooper looking blank, and I'm the Indian.
What? Draw cow. Rogers doesn't use a gun. Like, this character obviously has no familiarity with his opponent, for one. For two, why is it okay to make these blanket assertions and assumptions about Rogers' character just because either A, because he's a long-standing character who apparently it's okay to poke fun at nowadays?
Look, I know all about cowboys. My dad used to love those old movies. I've seen them all, and they were all the same. Cowboys killing Indians, cowboys killing Indians.
I suppose we don't want to get into the fact that a lot of those movies also clarified that it was the Native American tribes people coming around and, I don't know, assaulting and trying to kidnap and rape the people who were pioneers expanding into the West.
That was, I loved them too. It's fucked up, but I loved them too. This is bad, dude.
Whoever wrote this, whoever greenlit this and edited it and thought that this was the way to go needs to get out of the arts. Period.
This is so
I have
bad, bro.
I have no more fix to give. They need to just go away. I don't know if we're not past the 20-minute mark, so I'm not gonna say exactly what's ripping through my skull right now. But they need to go away.
Let's see here.
They need to stop.
They flood the plains, they dig up our sacred ground, they foul the water.
Yeah, that's called expedition. That's called exploration. It's called expansion.
And when we protect, when we stand up, they kill us or throw us in jail or force us from our land. Who's they?
Yep. It's like I said, it's perfectly fine, apparently, to make blanket broad statements against entire peoples if they happen to be the people who are given the green light to make fun of, poke fun of, criticize endlessly anymore. I'd like to turn this around on this dumb fuck. You know what?
The North American Union, United States of America, it's all about fucking cowboys and Indians. Or it's all the same fucking cowboys and Indians. They blinked it out for obvious reasons, but
it's just such nonsense. And you know what? This is probably written by the same sort of person who, they're all about standing up for indigenous peoples and Native American history and lore and culture and blah 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 blah. They're probably the same bunch of fuckers who would stand there and say, "Yeah, go ahead and let your son chop his dick off because he thinks he's a girl."
So is this just a poke at Captain America the entire time? Because America?
That's what I imagine, yes.
That's what I'm getting at looking at all this.
Yeah, who better to utilize as a whipping boy for the utter resentment of this Hawkeye character, quote unquote, who, by the way, this expansion, this colonial expansion that he's griping about having taken place throughout history, was it done specifically to him? Specifically by Captain America? No. Then your resentment is horseshit. It means nothing. Roger should smash his fucking head in with the shield and cut his fucking head off.
Oh, I guess they team up and beat up all the bad guys. Poof, you white people will believe anything.
Yeah, but you know what we won't do? We won't buy anything. Boycott this bullshit. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. If you can, engage in complete apathy. Tell these people they don't deserve your money. Let them know they don't deserve your money. They don't deserve your patronage. I don't give a fuck if they want to say, if they want to claim, well, you owe us the purchase of our artwork because we have worked so hard and so diligently. I don't give a shite. Your efforts mean nothing to me.
I mean, just along with that line right
the entire time is beating you over the head.
Just that line alone right there is like, really? Imagine if the fucking shoe was on, or the foot was on the ear. You know the analogy I'm trying to make. It just ain't coming out.
Yes. No, I get it.
If the shoe was on the other foot, imagine. Imagine the fucking outrage there would be if Captain America happened to say that to this person here.
It wouldn't happen, not anymore, not nowadays. And it didn't even happen back in classic Captain America comics or the Avengers. or any other line, because the character was never used as a complete cudgel. Well, okay, wait. There was one period of time where the character was used as a complete and utter cudgel. I'm gonna be if I'm gonna be honest, or in the name of transparency, way back when Captain America was first introduced into comic books. Yes, he was used as a kind of a tool of DoD propaganda against an obvious villain and an obvious group of people who they had some really awful ideas. And it's a good thing that they were not allowed to win the day. But he wasn't going after them for the fact that they were Germans. He wasn't going after them for the fact that they were white people and European. He wasn't going after them because they were a particular religion. He wasn't going after them even for the fact that they were national socialists. Socialists. He was going after them because they were genocidal maniacs.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he went against them. Because they were brutal, genocidal freakazoids. It had nothing to do with their ethnicity. It had nothing to do with their history as a people. It had nothing to do with their cultural history and upbringing. It had to do with the fact that this group of people was a bunch of homicidal, genocidal maniacs. That's why he opposed them.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And for that purpose, good that he was used as a tool against that particular methodology. Now you've got Hawkeye being the title being granted and grafted onto this he, she, it, they, them, whatever, gonzo, in order to try and denigrate and browbeat and sermonize to a character who, I grant that this is the Ultimates universe, so it's not in the same timeline, perhaps, but they did found it. They did found the character on the predicate that it's derived from that original timeline. So you want to sit here and let this new version of Hawkeye sermonize to a character who, if he had not done what he did against the Third Reich, hey, buddy, you don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have no understanding of how these things work, cause and effect?
Apparently not.
Has every modern storyteller in comic books just thrown their hat in the air and said, fuck it, I'll just comply with the current order of the day from the most fringe political left that I possibly can, in the slim hope and prayer that I will get paid monies to continue browbeating for the very same people who've held up this industry and this art form for decades.
I mean, I'm lost on why you would even go that direction.
Because they think there's going to be profitability in it. Because as long as Disney continues to score high on their ESG ranking, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are going to continue siphoning money from the pension funds that they manage as a hedge fund management company. They'll continue to take money out of those withholdings and hand it over to Disney, specifically aimed or directed to be given over to the comic book publication division, so that they can fund these productions and pay the salaries of these writers and artists. Because let's face it, the pencil artists, the colorists, the inkers, they do a great service to the comic book industry, because without their actual visual artistry, you would not have comic books, period. I don't blame them for doing good work, but I do blame them for taking a look at what's in the script and saying, I'm okay doing this. Sure, I'll provide my talent in order to finish producing this piffle light. I'm sorry, it's not even worthy of being called piffle. It is the leaky diarrhea that drains out of my sphincter when I've had too many bowls of chili the night before. I could do a better job writing this character if you punched me in the forehead for 4.5 minutes straight, handed me a pen and a piece of toilet paper and said, "Get to writing."
I almost spit up my Mellow Yellow.
Fuck these people.
Dude. I'm at a loss for words, man. I seen this like right before I was getting ready to go live with you, and I'm like, we have to talk about this.
Marvel is just, they're creatively and artistically bankrupt. They've decided to take a well-known character or title, couple it with another very well-known and historically relevant character in Captain America, and say, hey, here's an opportunity for us to stand on a soapbox and effectively snarl at anybody and everybody who still clings to the vague hope that Captain America might still stand for those traditional values that he stood for. Now, I am not unaware of the nuances of history. I'm not a complete brainlet. I'm willing to confess that the nation to which I was born has done some really terrible things over the course of its 250-year history.
But what civilization hasn't?
Thank you. Who is innocent? Nobody. No one. And when you engage with this,
technically we are, because we're not the ones that did it.
Fair. And that's actually the argument I tend to lean into when I was talking there about, hey, Hawkeye, did Steve Rogers do this shit to your tribe? Did Steve Rogers do this to your parents or your grandparents? Did Steve Rogers do any of this shit to your people? No, he didn't. So what gives you the right to stand there and cast the blame for all of that upon him? It's funny, for a bunch of non-believers, these people are quick to pick up the line of the sins of the father shall be visited upon the son and then suffered sevenfold. They're quick to pick up that piece of ancient wisdom and lump it on the shoulders of anybody who they sociopolitically disagree with. But when you turn it back at them and point out the fact that, hey, fucker, use your eyes and brains that are supposedly in your skull and recognize that this guy wasn't there.
Right.
Reality doesn't set in.
No.
You need a snack, buddy. I need to stop yelling. I'm going off on a fucking tangent. I'm sorry.
That's bullshit, man. I mean, I just don't understand it. Like, why can't, like, maybe the enemy itself did it? Like, they were causing, like, a tribe to be pushed out of their land? Like an actual villain?
Right. Like, blame the people who are actually doing the harm. Like, there is a guilty party. And that's who you should be taking your umbrage up with. Not the guy who is there ostensibly, in most cases, to be a hero.
Not only that, though, I mean, even with Captain America offering his hand to, like, help and assist the character, and then turn around and have that character go, well, you white people believe anything. What? After
you know what
they just got done helping you?
Yeah, my response to that, if I were to, I'd hear to be like, oh, good to know. You know what? The next time you have this trouble, I promise I will be there to help you out. And then when
you're gonna be a little resentful twat waffle after I just got done helping you?
Yep, I'd just be like, you know what? If you ever need help, here's the number. Here's how to get in touch with me. Just give me a ring. And as soon as that Hawkeye calls, you feel like, hey, Steve, I need your help. Oh, yeah. You Hawkeyes, you'll believe anything. Click.
By the way, your microphone's kind of staticking.
Yeah, it's because I stepped inside in order to get Colin a snack. Hey, buddy. Here you go. I'll be right back there. Yes. Come on. Sorry about that.
Unreal. It is absolutely unreal that was even published as a comic.
Well, here's the thing. Nowadays, I completely believe it. It's like
Oh, I mean, I do too, but
I am enraged, but I'm not surprised. Does that make sense?
so I mean, is it perfectly okay to teach natives to just fucking hate white people right off the rip by default?
I don't know, but by that logic, I should hate every Englishman on the planet. But guess what? I fucking love Doctor Who until a certain season. I was not big on who was the one after Matt Smith.
I
I'm
couldn't
blanking on
tell
who.
you. I haven't really followed Doctor Who in a hot minute.
Like I liked Eccleston. I loved David Tennant. Matt Smith was pretty good. I liked him too. But then after that, I just kind of fell off with it. I was not a big fan of the Scotsman who came after Matt Smith. Like he was okay. Capaldi, Peter Capaldi, that's his name. But after like 5 or 6 episodes in, I was like, he's not. I'm not really connecting with these stories. Something's changed here, and then I left it. I let it go.
Right.
But my point being, if you're going to go the route of everyone should be resentful based on their history or the history of their peoples, well, then I should hate every fucking person who's got a drop of English blood. But I don't because I have, an independent personality, and I'm
Right.
able of accepting that I live in this world.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of the line in Frank Herbert's Dune: "When you are in power, I demand mercy, for it is according to your principles. But when I am in power, I deny you mercy, for that is according to my principles."
Mm-hmm.
Like it's perfectly okay by these folks to slap you around and call you an istophobic whatever and demand that you bow down and pay homage to them and their people's history. Oh, you want me to pay homage to your people's history? And what language are you denigrating me in? Oh, yeah, English, cocksucker. How's about you give that back?
Right.
What did you ever give our people? We gave you a fighting chance and you're still around. I hate to be
Turn you
brutal.
guys from being savages into regular
I hate to
people.
be I hate to be completely brutal about it, but think about this. You're only able to bitch and complain because your peoples were granted a certain amount of mercy that you weren't completely wiped out, because that would be inhumane and the definition of insanity and monstrousness. That would be inhuman. I'm glad you're here, but I'm not glad that you're using the fact that you're here to browbeat me and demand that I go away.
Or demand respect in that regard.
I'm not going to pay for the mistakes and the awfulness visited upon your ancestors by my ancestors. You know why? They're not fucking here.
Right.
I didn't do
Exactly.
this. Now, here's another thing: is there's plenty of people like Robin DiAngelo and her fucking crowd who would sit there and say, "You're only angry because you're feeling guilty. It's a sign. Your denial is a sign of your guilt." Lovely little Kafka trap. But guess what, cunt? I read Philosophy 101 too. And your little fucking catch 22 logic trap doesn't work. I deny you and I refute your a priori establishment. You have to have both parties agree to the terms that you're setting up for that dialogue before you can try to throw that in my face. Try again. You're
Indeed.
not dealing with a moron. And that's the other part of it that really irritates me about these fuckers, is they seem to think that they're dealing with nothing but morons. Like, did you really think you were the only one who was clever enough to think up a story? Did you really think you were the only person capable of threading metaphor? And you don't even thread metaphor. You just use the message that you're coming across with as a fucking sledgehammer. And what you need is a chisel. If you really want to convince people that what you have to say is worthwhile, you don't do it by pulling your pants down and saying, "Look at my dick."
Come suck it.
You have to finesse me, okay? I need flowers and dinner. You have to romance me before I let you get up and mount one of them.
Yeah. You gotta give me a little peck on the cheek, too. Then you get to the Hawk Tua. That's before the Hawk Tua, not after.
People make fun, and I make fun too. But I will say this about that fucking weirdo young woman. Everything I have read, a lot of the money that she's been getting from all the attention and deals and endorsements and shit, she's been using a ton of it to like open up these like animal rescue shelters and like humanitarian aid foundation. Like she's been donating a lot of it to like homeless shelters and all kinds of different like human interest organizations. Like, wait,
Yep. But
this
she's also gonna I guess sue the person that recorded her too, from what I hear.
Wait, lady, don't be stupid. That guy gave you the chance that you've got right now. What are you doing?
Right.
Talk about being fucking an ingrate.
Right.
Dear Lord. Yep. Show some gratitude.
Apparently that's the thing. I was like, really? After you've pretty much made it just by saying something?
Right. By the way, I know that this stuff is terrible for me, and I fucking hate PewDiePie. It's Fuel. It's the PewDiePie one.
Oh, God.
I like the flavor, even though I know this stuff is terrible for me. But right now, it's like the only energy drink that they're carrying at the Dollar Tree. So, what I've got.
Well, I mean, if it works, it works.
Keeps me awake. I mean, I survive most days on caffeine, nicotine, and hatred. But
yep, that sounds about right.
I'm not Okay, yes, I am a hateful person. I had to catch myself there.
I'm very much a hateful person, but for the right reasons.
Like, I don't want to be this way. Oh, I gotta tell you, one of the things that I wanted to just briefly mention when when we were going to do the show today, you've heard me mention Substack quite a lot, and I've made reference to this guy, Jonathan Delp, who writes Stomp Roams, short stories about Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, trying to find his family. That's the Stomp Roams stories, and Jonathan is not like consistent because he writes when he has the opportunity and when he has an idea for another story or Stomp. So he doesn't have like a set schedule. And it's been a couple of months since he put out a new Stomp story. And yesterday he finally put out a new one. It was fairly short. It was only like 20 pages, but it was hilarious and delightful. It was Stomp meets Richard Pryor. It was fucking hilarious. Like, most of the stories that involve Stomp aren't really, they're kind of dryly amusing. There's a very wry sense of humor to them. Jonathan exposes himself for being very knowledgeable about stand-up comedy and comedic timing and delivery in this story, because I was giggling my tits off like the whole time I was reading the goddamn thing. He is superb. Like, I love that. Bless you. And I'm probably going to go back and reread it the next couple of days, just because it's just really good shit.
Right. Yeah. There were other things we were going to get into, even though I started it off with the whole new Hawkeye. Might as well call
Yeah,
him
I'm
Okai
sorry.
at this point.
They call me Hawkeye, for I see much. Yeah, I see
No,
something
they
too.
call you
You're a
Hawk
fucking
Tua
idiot.
now, is what they call you.
Hawk Tua. Quick, Hawk Tua, grab your arrows. My name is Hawkeye. Your name is whatever I want to
I don't
call
need
you,
a bow. I
Nancy
got my
boy.
esophagus. I don't need a bow. I got my esophagus. Fucking.
Oh my god, it's worse than a camel.
Deadly efficient and loogies.
I don't know why that makes me think of. Did you ever play Boogerman on the Sega Genesis?
No.
Oh my god, that was a gross fucking game. They had it on the Super Nintendo too, but it was better known as a game on the Sega Genesis because that's what it first came out on. But yeah, your player character's main weapon throughout the game is he picks his nose and flicks boogers. It's a childish potty humor kind of game. Strangely enough, though, really engaging platforming. Like it was a fun game, kind of easy for a Sega game, which was surprising. But then shortly after Boogerman came out, then was Toe Jam and Earl. So there was a little while there where Sega was coming out with some just toilet crash sophomore humor kind of games and characters. Like, they're fun, you know. But most of them were also only good for like a quick afternoon of playing because, like I said, they were kind of easy for Sega games. You know, it wasn't like Sonic, which, god damn it, I still haven't beat Sonic 2. Banging my head against the wall with that one.
Yeah.
So, did you have a next topic for us to flow into there so I can get this migraine down a little bit?
I'm trying to think because we were talking about other things we were wanting to bring up. Now they're not coming to mind considering what I had just shown.
Right, that's kind of still in the brain. One thing.
I'm just very disappointed in that. I'm very, very disappointed that that was even considered.
That got published.
Yeah.
That got distributed. That was used as, hey, this is Marvel now. What more evidence do you need if you are a consumer of Marvel products? If you look at Captain America and you can see, oh, he's a straight white dude. So are like 80% of the people who read Captain America. Sorry if that offends you. I recommend you open your eyes, take a look around the world we live in, accept reality, and shut your fucking mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry. I hate that phrase, but I'm using it.
I'm not sorry by any means.
Why should I pay you as a comic book company, as an artist, or as a writer to denigrate me? I'm not your pay pig. That's not my kink. I don't have that, though. I'm fairly vanilla.
Think about it like this, though, okay? I'm paying you to racially educate me. Why? Why would I do that?
Like,
what sane person would do that?
Did they maybe look at the overall book sales of Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility and think, oh, there's a huge market for this? Dudes, the people who bought that book were mostly guilty white liberal women who, by the way, comprise the vast majority of book purchasers in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, because a lot of guys between the ages of 18 and 55 don't fucking read anymore. That's a whole other bag of growling for me to do some other time. But just because those are the people who are
I don't
buying
mainly
that
read
shit,
because I normally don't have the time to read, but I do listen to audiobooks while I'm at work.
hey, that counts. That counts.
So,
And there's actually, and this will be a weird tie-in, but a few years ago, somebody who I have considered a long time online friend pointed out to me, because at the time I had been like, no, audiobooks don't count. And he was like, dude, can I have a word with you in private? And I said, okay, yeah, just private message me. And he's like, there's a reason I kind of growl or want to growl when you say you don't count audiobooks, Josh. And I'm like, well, what's that? He goes, my mom's blind. All she does is listen to audiobooks. I'm like, fuck. I never considered that. It hadn't crossed my mind that there are people who they love the art of the written word, but because they can't see, they have to take it in audibly. Okay. Given that, I was like, that really does give me a different perspective. He didn't growl at me. He didn't snarl at me. He didn't call me an ableist. Hate that fucking term. He said, dude, I just want to present to you a different way of looking at this and ask, have you considered it? I had not considered it. And it was, for me at least, it was a convincing argument, in large part because he didn't try to browbeat me about it. If he had come at me snarling and snapping and, well, what about X, Y, and Z? I probably would have taken that hostility and said, you know what? Go fuck yourself and go fuck your mother too. I probably would not have been willing to accept his perspective because nobody wants to hear your perspective when you are telling it to them while holding a gun to their fucking head.
Right.
You will accept us. No, I will wait for the opportunity to disarm you and kill you. I'm so tired of having this feeling in my head that if I give these people any amount of room to work with, that they're going to use it to trample all over me. Why are you so reactionary? Why are you so defensive? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because every time I give you people an inch, you take a fucking mile?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the reason why the whole indie developer, small press world has become my favorite place to go to. I have not purchased a book from a large publishing house in over a year. Now I'm not counting my purchases from like Flame Tree Publishing, who put together those mythology collections, because they are a mid-sized publisher, but they do mythology, legendarium,
Oh man,
folklore.
it's
Those
bothering me
are
because we
produced.
had other topics and I can't think of them.
I know. Was any of it to do with? Oh, shit.
Because we brought them up even on we were watching the back rooms last Wednesday.
Yeah,
Now I can't think of them.
that's how awful a statement is that? That something is so egregious that it completely wipes out from your and my recent short-term memory what we had wanted to talk about.
And what we had wanted to talk about was like I think it had to do with games. Or was it Asmongold getting banned?
Well, I had done a little bit of because I do remember. Thank you. That actually does remind me that I had wanted to read up a little bit more or hear a little bit more about the whole situation there, what exactly happened,
Well, I
and
heard he
I didn't.
apologized and they still banned him on Twitch.
Yep, he came out with an apology video. It was 40 minutes long. It was odd for me to listen to because he was effectively trying to apologize to the sort of folks who have other things to worry about. And when I say that, allow me to be clear. The sort of folks who would have taken personal offense to what he was saying, I'm pretty sure they don't watch his material anyway. The folks who got ass mad were perpetually online Western world fringe left progressives who want to be offended on behalf of other people. The sort of folks
Hmm.
who they hear someone make an off color remark and say, hold on a second, what did you just say about Z, Zim, Zer, them, or this group of people?
Yep.
Don't worry, you don't
I'm
have to defend
offended.
yourself. I'm offended for them.
Yep.
Oh, you're offended for them? I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you forgot to put your helmet on when you got off the short bus, ma'am. Go back and lick the windows, you fucking retard. I would love to take these people and
Jesus.
just take a pane of bus glass and smear it with peanut butter, cat shit, and arsenic and say, there's your dinner. Get to licking.
Jeez.
I'm not a pleasant person. I accept that. But what do you want from me?
Right.
Like, what, did he? Oh, he's so offensive. He's so nasty. Why do you have to say such awful, hurtful, hateful things?
I was going to ask you something besides the Asmongold stuff. Have you
Sure.
been hearing about supposedly the whole licensing argument with games? Supposedly, if you have video games on a library, you don't technically like own them.
Oh, yes. This is actually something that first came up a couple of years ago, thanks to Ubisoft, of course.
Yeah.
Um, their CEO or their president, I don't remember which officer what it was. They're all cocksuckers and scumbags.
Mm-hmm.
But he was being interviewed for, I think it was Game Informer, and they were talking about Denuvo and DRM, which is digital rights management software, which are programs and software elements that effectively make it so that once you install a piece of software onto a device, you cannot put that software on a different device until it's been removed from the initial install base. So if you have a laptop like a gaming rig and it takes a shit or you're going to replace it, you have to deactivate and delete the files from the original rig, except for your save file, which they oftentimes will save in the cloud that you can then access and get started from where you were left off on your new machine once you reinstall the game. And the guy at Ubisoft was asked, "Well, what do you say to people who they've either lost their access key or there's for some reason they've been banned from the multiplayer and thus can't access online connectivity with the one player campaign? What would you say to those people when they point out that I paid full price for this game and now I can't even access the single player campaign on it?" And his response was, well, gamers, players should get used to not owning their games because it's in the terms of service when they make a purchase that they are not making an indefinite purchase of the intellectual property. They are purchasing a temporary and fully negligible license in order to access the game. And that blew the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people pointed out, hey, fuckstick, the word you're using on your website or on your disk is purchase.
Mm-hmm. Or buy.
In contract law, in most states, not all states, that's really where these fuckers tend to take a leverage. In most states, in contract law, if a retailer says that an item is for purchase or is on sale, there is a legal definitional matter of the law that once the money is exchanged to that company or that retailer, that the product is then the wholesale entire property of the purchaser, pending terms of service acceptance. And this is where we get into a little bit of gray area. Don't like this. Nobody would if they're a consumer rights advocate, because
Right.
you can purchase the disk, you can purchase the access key, but there's always that front loaded terms of service that you have to read through, click accept before you are granted access to the game. In these terms of service is always buried a section on revocability of rights. And one of
So,
the rights, sorry, go
hold
ahead.
on. The only thing I'm gonna show here, because I'm just doing this for an example. I'm not actually gonna buy this game, but I'm looking at the window to purchase something on Steam currently, right? And it's Liar's Bar. I mean, any game it'll apply on, really. Like, it'll show up. So,
Okay.
like, your shopping cart, the game, and it says continue to
Yep.
payment, right?
Yep.
So, if you look at it right there, it says purchasing on Steam on the right.
Right. Purchase. Not
Purchasing
leasing.
on Steam.
Right. Not leasing, not renting, purchasing.
And then it says once you've completed this transaction, your payment method will be debited. You'll receive an email confirming the receipt of your purchase.
Yeah, it's a purchase. It's not a rental. It's not a license. But the way that they have legally tried to finagle this, and again, it comes back to that terms of service, is in the TOSs, it always ends up saying that you have purchased a temporary, revocable, non-refundable license to access and use the product. This is scumbag legalese 101. And what I really would love to throw at these game developers' faces is a little bit of history that they probably aren't familiar with. The revocable licensure terminology comes from indentured servitude. It was a term first coined in English common law and jurisprudence when Irish and Scottish slaves, let's face the term, sold their labor temporarily to the full licensed ownership of an English landholder. So they're using a term rooted in owning other people. I wonder if they'd be so fond of using that terminology in their contracts if they recognize that. You want to use this bullshit double speak? We can use it too. Some of them aren't dumb. Oh, hold up. Here, let your foot off on that.
It's just wild to me. The shit they're trying to get away with.
One of the weird downstream consequences of this is that of all places, the state of California, put forth and passed into law, I think it was last week or the week before, a consumer protection law that in the state of California or any company selling digital products wherein the company is based out of the state of California, if they're only selling a temporary license for an intellectual property of, I think it's, and I can't remember the exact phrasing, so I'm going to paraphrase.
I'll be right back.
Not a problem. If somebody do you want me to hold off? Maybe I should wait to clarify until he gets back. How you doing, Scuba? Sorry that I haven't directly said hello to you, dear, in a while. Especially since you are one of our routine viewers and visitors to the program. I hope you're doing all right, hon. Yo quiero Taco Bell. Oh, now I want Taco Bell. I can swing by on my way to work. It's one of the downsides of eating as light as I do in the mornings is I tend not to think about getting more until it's like almost lunchtime. And this despite the fact the last time I got Taco Bell on my way into work, I ended up spending a good like 20 minutes right after I clocked in fucking bathroom, just playing hell with my guts. I need to remember to bring my Tums with me when I'm gonna swing by there. I'm not a young man anymore. I need to make sure I counterbalance this shit. Otherwise, I'm just tearing my insides apart. Speaking of, however, of kiddos and what they'll actually eat, because sometimes they can be very persnickety and picky. I'm quite glad that my 5-year-old, he's finally graduated from only allowing himself to eat fucking cheese quesadillas to he's finally willing to do chicken with the green chilies in there as well. He's actually like developing his taste palette. He's developing a willingness to try some new stuff, and it's really phenomenal.
I'm back. I had to take a leak, and little Lily here had to follow me.
Oh, of course she did. But that, yeah. Oh, tortellini's such good stuff. Love that shit. Get a good 4-cheese tortellini with some
tortellini.
With some roasted diced tomatoes, and some green chilies in there. Maybe a little dash of red pepper flakes. Good eating.
Yeah, tortellini is good stuff.
I wanted to hold off on spurging out more about the legalese until you got back.
Right.
What I was saying was the state of California, of all places, came out last week or the week before with a consumer protection law that any company that is headquartered out of or that does business in the state of California, if they list a digital product for sale on any marketplace online, that if all they're selling is a license for temporary revocable access, that they must clarify that up front somewhere prior to completion of a purchase order. So all of these game companies, they have to keep track of their websites have to now institute some kind of coding on their shopping site where people can make purchases, including Steam. If the IP address of the purchaser comes up as they live in or are purchasing the product while they're in the state of California, they have to clarify that they are not purchasing a permanent, non-revocable product if it's digital. Sadly, they did not include physical media in this legislation. So if you purchase a game from, say, GameStop, and you actually go and purchase the disc in the state of California, you're not protected under this law, which is horseshit. Because all the discs have on them anymore
I'm back.
is
My
a portion of
kitten was tacking something and kept snapping at whatever it was. So I'm like, all right, enough. I can't take it anymore. It's annoying.
Sorry about that, brother. So yeah, that
don't tell me she found something else.
Very possible.
Yep.
She is a cat. Oh, Lily. Bad kitty. I am immediately putting mine to South Park, and I'm going to wait until Brother Cortex gets back on so he can hear this. I swear to God, I'm like an 11-year-old child sometimes. Yeah, this is a taste of parenthood for you there, Brother Cortex. It's a little different, but yeah, training wheels version. All right. I wanted to wait until you're back on.
Old petrified French fries she found.
Man, kitty's being a dildo. I know a certain kitty who's sleeping with mommy tonight. Wait, what?
God. She found a fucking French fry on the ground.
Hey, you know what?
Liz.
At least now it can be thrown out. Holy shit! That's pretty stale, brother. Holy shit. Hey, as a proud Irishman, I am terrified that a potato could go that bad.
I didn't even know it was there.
What, as the mighty lily hunter stalks its prey, and then if we have found a willing victim in a petrified French fry. That's what. Very Animal Planet nature hunter there. It's strange to think that she is related to a much larger beast that could eat your face.
Mm-hmm.
What does she stalk down? An old French fry.
She is Maine Coon, so she's gonna get bigger.
Okay.
That's gonna be a scary sight one day. I'm not even gonna be thinking she's gonna be like coming like from behind like the wall in like the hallway in my house. She's gonna pop up there and look at me. Be like a fucking mountain lion walking out.
Big shape. It's like,
right.
oh shit. Like if this cat gets too mad, could she fuck me up? Absolutely, they could.
A Maine Coon? Absolutely, it could.
Yep. It's like, hey, guess what? You like having your face? Not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the whole situation with licensing and not owning your digital purchases. While California tried to give people at least some kind of breathing room, which is fascinating to me that anything decent could come out of California. There is, unfortunately, an additional little baked-in promise that was folded into this legislation. which clarifies as well that anyone who makes a purchase of a digital artistic product or
Thanks,
intellectual
Lily.
property
I found the tip of the
product.
French fry.
Hey, she brought it back to you. Hey, that's a good little hunter. Good little huntress.
Oh, jeez.
So unfortunately, if you do make a purchase of this temporary license, the legislation unfortunately also clarifies that with this new law, if you make a purchase in the state of California, the company that you purchased the license from has no obligation to give you a refund, regardless of circumstances.
That's
So it's like, on the one hand, you're trying to help people. On the other hand, you're slapping them upside the head.
Yeah.
Like, what effect did this do? And that's when I read that part. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. California can't just do something good for the people who live
Yeah,
there.
there's got to be a catch.
Exactly. It's like, oh, that's why Newsom signed it, because it's double hand. It's two-faced.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely two-faced.
Oh, you spent that money and they took it away from you? Oh, you're fucked. Oh, thank you. I was kind of hoping along the lines of a refund, but I don't know what
but
to do now.
now in California, if a game company sells you a digital product, whether it be a game, a movie, a song, any digital product, they don't owe you a refund, even if the product doesn't work. And that's what blows my mind, is the broad interpretation of this legislation. So even if you make the purchase of the license and the product does not operate properly because of bad coding or something, the company doesn't owe you your money back. So do you have any idea how many people are going to take total advantage of that? They're going to be manipulative fuckpicks.
Yeah, especially in the indie game scene.
Oh yeah, it's going to get bad.
If you think about it like this, there's actually some games out there that were total rip-offs, like The Day Before, for instance.
Yeah, garbageware.
Yep.
Garbageware, abandonware upon.
They charged
launch.
people, I think it was like around $40, $30 to $40, and everything that they had promised was not in the game.
Yeah, I do remember that being like.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you talking to me about that actually quite a bit. You showed me, wasn't it like that the one where you had people setting up their camps one on top of the other?
No, that was Once Human.
Oh, right.
Which I have not heard anything about that game. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to look at it. I want to see how many people are playing it right now.
Okay.
It can't be very much.
Oh, you're going to check the Steam board?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about speaking of Steam and all things video games and pre-orders and whatnot? Have you read the numbers on the pre-orders for the Veil Guard?
No.
Oh, it's bad.
So apparently they have 84,957 people in game right now.
Whoa.
I'm surprised.
That's actually a pretty respectable number of players.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me wonder if they changed something.
I don't know. Personally, the way I played the game, I wasn't impressed. It just seemed like a action MMO styled game with built-in microtransaction templates.
Kind of a ripoff.
Well, it's free, so I didn't really get ripped off yet because I didn't invest any money into anything in the game.
Right. That's where they can be like, we didn't poach money off you. We didn't charge you. Yet.
Might have wasted my time, but that's about it.
Right. Sure thing, bud. Hmm? This- Oh, you need your cup. All right, hold up. Colin's getting a little bit more clear with some of his words. I'm thankful for, but we still got to get him into a speech therapist. Odd. Most of my kids have needed speech therapy, and I look at my wife and I think, what the hell? I talk all the time and I use decent vocabulary. She's like, yeah, but when they're children or newborns, you can't expect them to pick up the language, Josh. Colin.
I mean, she's not wrong. You gotta let them grow up a little bit to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not great about being patient with that. Like, maybe I'm the asshole here.
Now, when they get to like kindergarten to first grade, yeah, I think I would start to worry about if it hasn't developed any further than what it is now.
Well, yeah, no, I would be much worried, but that's why, like, I stopped worrying about Dennis because he's in kindergarten now and he's doing great. I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, I got a crackhead kitten. She's got the zoomies.
Zoomies! Meow, boss.
So I hear Silent Hill 2 is overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
Yes, actually, that has been another kind of weirdly pleasant surprise for me. Is catching up on people playing it on stream. I've watched a few playthrough streams for grand total, maybe 2 or 3 hours worth of playtime.
Might have to get it.
It really does not look bad, and there are elements of it that I kind of go, okay, I see what you did here. You opened up the camera view, and now players can like see the monsters coming from a mile away. You've taken away a lot of that claustrophobic feeling that made the original so dreadful and tension riddled. Okay, the monsters themselves are still the monsters. Okay, like I was expecting this thing honestly to be a complete rewrite. There are a couple of aspects that it does look like they went really soft with, like the mannequin leg things that when you first see Pyramid Head, he's in the process of raping one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They cut that scene out. They show Pyramid Head like grabbing it and it's struggling and fighting for a minute, and then the camera cuts to James in the closet and just going like he's terrified. They don't actually show what happens. Like, okay, I'm because of certain storytelling techniques, I'm almost willing to give that a pass. Because sometimes implication is more terrifying than overt showing it. If you imply the horror, you leave it up to the reader, or sorry, I'm using obvious terminology that's biased from my perspective. You leave it up to the audience's imagination. And an audience's imagination can really run wild, run rampant, and can imagine something far worse than what's actually happening. So there's that element of the unknown. That's a type of fear that is played upon well there. Okay, cool. I'm willing to give a tip of my hat to Bloober Team for that. But opening up the environments and making it less tense, you're taking away some of what made the original so terrifying.
See, I had that same argument even with the Fallout show. There was a lot of grittiness that could have been there but wasn't there.
Right, like you've taken away an element, a key aspect of what made the original as great as it was. Like,
Right.
cool that you made the monsters more detailed and look even more horrific than they did. Pardon me, sorry, with lower resolution graphics. Like the nurses, they still look really gruesome. But there are a couple of things they did to the nurses that I'm not a fan of. For one, they made them all really uniform. Like there's not a lot of variety in them, variability. In the original Silent Hill 2, you had some of the nurse zombies creatures that their nurses' caps were like skewed and tilted, or
Hmm.
they had the mask over their eyes was like partially pulled away to reveal an empty eye socket on some of them. Some of them had like dripping wounds on them in the original, like scalpel wounds from fighting each other, which
Yep.
was an amazing environmental detail. Totally gone now. They've removed that. It's like, oh, come on, guys. That was a small flavor detail from the original that you had the opportunity to make that even more pronounced and more disturbing, and you just totally dropped the ball.
That's how it was with
So,
Resident Evil 3 remake. Same sort of situation where they were taking assets from Resident Evil 2 remake for the zombies and the map and everything. It was just like, what the fuck? Just the tip.
who's talking about the fry?
Yeah.
Just the tip.
Um.
Very Sterling Archer of her.
Anyhow,
Lana!
there were like zombies and stuff that were using the same models from Resident Evil 2 remake, and there was just a lot of things that were done very badly.
Yes,
The
it's like
the
it's
bug
lazy.
monsters that you finally run into, there were these little bug things that weren't as big as they were in the original game, which were, almost the size of you, if not taller, if they stood on their hind legs.
Okay, I remember them
Yeah,
from the original.
those
I never played the remake.
to, I mean, the hunters they did good on the proto
Okay,
hunters.
glad to hear that because those things
Yeah.
were a menace.
Um, Nemesis, total letdown.
Yeah, we've been over that.
Yeah. Just a simple fact like my first thought was, why is he wearing a trash bag?
Yeah, but no, Silent Hill 2 remake. There's some of the same visual problems. Like, oh, you missed an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the playthrough, like live streaming playthroughs that I caught, did include a character who there was a lot of concern surrounding in the days leading up to the release of the game. And that was the character of Angela. Um, in the end product here for the remake, they definitely softened her look, made her doughier, but not as bad as some people were making it out to be.
Initially, what they were going to release was a lot worse than what came out.
Yeah, what ultimately ended up coming out. But I still found it. It made me kind of not grumble, but it made me think: where are the shadows under her eyes? Where is the emaciation, the look of sorrow or
Or dread.
haunting? Right, the haunting, because that is what Silent Hill does to people. It corrupts them. It shoves their past trauma back in their faces and says, stew in it. This
Mm-hmm.
is your eternity now. She's been stumbling and bumbling around this godforsaken environment for who knows how long, and she still looks kind of almost okay. Like, no, she should be on the brink of snapping at any living thing that comes near her,
Right.
just like the original Angela. paranoid and suspicious and looking almost ghoulish, it has a long-term effect on you when you're in Silent Hill. So once again, they dropped the ball.
Yeah, not only that though, like all of your worst fears and issues manifest into creatures.
Yeah,
So
they're supposed to. And part of what I have to wonder about, this was something I wondered about the very first time I played Silent Hill 2, was all of the creatures that you see in game stem from James's psychological issues.
hmm
I've always wondered, do the creatures look different to the other characters in Silent Hill?
or do they see things differently? Like
That's what I mean. Like, do they see the
entirely
same
different
creature
creatures?
but mapped different?
Right.
Yeah, like a different skin. And here's an opportunity for Konami, Bloober Team, whoever gets the opportunity to work on another Silent Hill. There was I think it was Resident Evil 0, um, wherein you got to play as Rebecca and Carlos, or whatever his name was.
Billy
Billy, thank you.
Cohen.
But they played the game like going through team, as a team, one by one, side by side.
Yep.
But in Resident Evil 2, Leon and Claire, they don't
Separate
cross
scenarios.
paths. Separate
They
scenarios.
do cross
But
paths
they do
though.
share. They cross paths and they share certain environments, so they see some of the same creatures. What if for a Silent Hill game, as just a concept, you have two different people get trapped in Silent Hill, but they have to go through the same environments at different times. You show the same map, but very different creatures that behave in a similar pattern of movement, but their skin is literally different to convey the psychological hold that Silent Hill has on its victims.
So the
This would
way it
allow,
worked with Resident Evil 2 was Claire fought Birkin, Leon fought Mr. X.
right, a different
Different
enemy,
antagonist.
right, different antagonist, but similar move sets, similar design, wasn't it?
A little different, but they were bigger enemies that you had to either fight or evade.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, it boils down to the confrontation scenario. They're bigger enemies that you had to run away from, dodge, duck, get away from, and then fight them at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
You could do the same thing with Silent Hill and use the psychological rationale that maybe these two people are experiencing the same circumstances, but because their psychology is part of what informs the nature of the shape of the creatures that reside in Silent Hill, that's what causes the visual differentiation. And
I feel
that's
like
really,
they could do that with like maybe something like Pyramid Head.
yes,
Not everybody sees Pyramid Head.
not everyone sees Pyramid Head, and even James saw him in a different way a couple times. In
Right.
several of the scenes, he's dragging the giant cleaver. In a couple of scenes, and especially at the end when he faces the two pyramid heads, they've got the spear. You could
Mm-hmm.
have that differentiation. It's a small but notable difference.
Or they
And the
just could be
interpretation
different
is left
Pyramid Heads in general.
right. So I don't know. That's just an opportunity that they're not taking advantage of. That I'm sure I'm a retard. I'm sure someone else has already brought this idea up to them. So why aren't they doing it?
Right. Like, I don't know. It couldn't be done with Resident Evil 3 because there was only one scenario with Jill.
With Jill. Oh, right,
But
right.
Yeah,
That
I
makes sense.
mean,
You've only got a singular protagonist.
as far as like, like how we were just talking about, like Leon and Claire engaging with their antagonist creature, Mr. X or William Birkin.
Right. They're BBEG.
Yeah. I feel like that could very well translate into something like Silent Hill.
Oh
Just
yeah.
different
Easily.
manifestations of creatures that are lurking and stalking their prey.
Yep. And it would be easy enough for them to pull off, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like a Silent Hill game, like perhaps you have like four different characters, different scenarios, but they all see different things attacking them or
Right.
stalking them or
And to add into the notion that it's the same thing, it's just being perceived differently, give
hmm
each of these creatures the same move set to further imply they're seeing the same creature, but to their eyes, to their senses, it's something different.
But do you think that like something like Pyramid Head, like I don't know,
Pyramid Head is a different scenario, I suspect.
because I feel like
He,
Pyramid Head's just iconic in Silent Hill
he,
period. Like,
he is. He is, very much is. And I imagine that he is a manifestation of Silent Hill's desire to punish those who come
hmm
within its boundaries. He would, if we were to give it a backrooms analogy, he is a primary guardian creature in that
hmm
two-dimensional space of Silent Hill.
right,
Ooh, we could wrap in backrooms along with this. Um, why not? We are, after all, Culling the Nerd.
right.
Um,
Um, yeah, I could see that. Maybe even like maybe have
because mytholo-
something like the creatures themselves, like the chest bursting zombies that spew out the black acid,
yeah,
to the nurses, to any of the other creatures for that matter. They're all different manifestations of guilt, fear, and what have you, different emotions and whatnot. But
like,
like I said, I feel like different characters can manifest different things, and giving off like their
there's
choices, maybe that would further manifest different creatures.
right, and maybe particularly if you have a character that they you're pushed into a scenario where you can either run away from a monster or you can confront it. If you
hmm
confront it and kill it, then further copies of that creature throughout the game, perhaps they get smaller or weaker because the character has shown a willing ability to confront their fear. So no longer has as great an effect on
Or
them.
different variation of it.
Right, maybe it's changed so it's not quite as
Maybe one
menacing,
has
or
chains or, a
right,
cleaver for a hand or whatever.
yeah. Hey, folks at Konami, give us a call. Anyway,
Right. Um,
certainly you could do worse, except I can't code, so yeah.
right. I could come up with some pretty crazy concepts for creatures, but like the thing is like we're talking about character manifestations of creatures. I feel like either way, no matter what you do, Pyramid Head should still make an appearance.
Yeah, no, I think we can agree on that. Like I said, he's like a primary guardian creature,
hmm
so he's not so much a tulpa as he is a guardian.
Right. But I wonder if there's like other creatures that kind of stand toe to toe with Pyramid Head that are within the confines of Silent Hill.
Um,
Because
hmm.
they did something kind of like that in the movie, where there was a fight between Pyramid Head and This one woman that turned into like a creature.
Yeah, oh God, I can't even remember what she was called in the Steelbook from. So I used to own the Steelbook collector's edition of the
I'm not gonna
first
lie,
Silent
I
Hill
actually
movie.
like those movies.
I liked the first one. Revelation,
Yeah,
I was kind of like, it's okay, passable.
right.
But the first one, I really liked.
I mean, I
Um,
liked them. Well, I'll just say this: I liked them better than the Resident Evil movies. I liked the
yeah,
first
there you
one,
go.
but the rest of them were
The in,
garbage.
the introduction scene of Pyramid Head in the movie where he grabs the woman by the chest and
Oh
just
my
fucking
god,
rips
yeah,
her skin off.
that was beautiful.
Holy shit! I was just like, yes,
I
they
was so happy when
understood
I
the
seen that.
assignment. Holy God, that was just, and the way he just slings her
Yeah, I mean,
behind
he
him,
just
like,
ripped her tits off and fucking
just
threw it at the door, dude.
fuck you, you know, just wrench,
Yeah, you were
like a
like,
bug.
"Yep, that's Pyramid Head."
You know, yes, you are less than a bug to me.
Yeah, like you said, they definitely understood the assignment with Pyramid Head on that one.
Yeah, it was very well done.
Very, very well done. And see, you know, that's like I brought up before the other day with Resident Evil. They can make a movie. It's just the direction of it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of that I think boils down to whoever's doing the screenplay adaptation. They've got to understand what they're doing. They've got to
Hmm.
appreciate source material. If they don't, get them the hell out of it.
Yep. And don't try to do your own thing. Don't try to just do what we're asking for, and you'll
Yes,
make a lot of money.
please. Not only will they, pardon me again, not only will they make a lot of money, but they will earn the gratitude of the fans in buckets.
Right.
Just absolute buckets. You know who
So I
didn't
don't know, like,
understand the
fully
assignment?
with Silent Hill, like, I don't know every little thing. I'm not a lore enthusiast, but I will be.
Boy.
My question I gotta ask is, what is with the cult? What is their point, like, in being in Silent Hill?
Okay. Are you referring to the first game or the movie?
I guess both,
Okay.
in a sense.
The cult of Samael is they're a faction of weird kind of pseudo spiritualists who have come to believe that Silent Hill is itself a node of contact with the nether realm, and they worship a principality creature that resides just on the other side of the veil between our reality and the reality that Silent Hill bleeds through from. They believe that Silent Hill is kind of like a tumor growing from that nether realm into our world. So they worship this godlike creature in the hopes that their devotion to it will imbue it with greater power and ability to spread Silent Hill to the rest of the world.
Oh.
And in order to grant this creature greater power and access directly into our world, they kidnap this girl, Alyssa, from the first game, Harry's daughter. They kidnap her, thinking that they can impregnate her and she will give birth to a new incarnation of this God thing. That's why they bring her to Silent Hill. Because just by being in Silent Hill, if she becomes pregnant with child, the thing she delivers will be their newfound God from that nether realm. And
That is fucked up.
by dint of it being born in our material world, it will rip the veil between the worlds in twain, allowing Silent Hill to spread more quickly to the rest of the world.
Wow. Fuck all of them.
It's fascinating too in a weird way because it's predicated on certain books and writings from ancient alchemy. It's predicated on the concept of the not the Philosopher's Stone, the Philosopher's Gateway, which was a theoretical text that was much studied by old world alchemists, including people like Aleister Crowley, who was an occultist and an alchemist, who believed that if they could not perfect the world or create the Philosopher's Stone, that it was because there was some limitation in our reality that stopped that from happening. And the only way to make reality bend to allow the creation of a Philosopher's Stone is to basically collide our world with another parallel spirit world. Hence the adoption of we need to find a gateway to another world. And what is Silent Hill but a gateway to another world?
That is creepy.
Fucked up.
And fucked up.
Yep.
Damn, dude.
But this is stuff that I read up for fun.
Yeah, because I never understood the whole cult. I was like, are they just survivors or are they an actual cult? But then I sort of
No,
understood that they were a cult.
they're a cult. Yeah.
And then I didn't understand, like, are they just stuck in Silent Hill or?
That is, they can't leave because they've spent so much time cloaked in the environment of that nether realm.
Mm-hmm.
They literally cannot survive outside of Silent Hill. They need to be in persistent contact with the energies of that place. It's sort of it corrupts them on a spiritual and a physical level. If they try to leave Silent Hill, they literally start to wither.
That is creepy.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not only that, though, like, another thing that I thought was kind of curious was, like, them wearing, like, the hazmat suits and stuff. Like, that always kind of, had me curious. I'm like, do they think that's going to protect them?
No. The issue is there is an outsider that has come into their environment. Bringing anything from the outside world into Silent Hill, it has to be exposed to Silent Hill's energies for a certain amount of time, or it can cause them literal damage. So they have to protect themselves until the new element that's been introduced to the town has been around long enough to also absorb a certain amount of that corruption.
I just thought that was, like, part of their attire. Like,
No.
they wore these hazmat suits. Like, that's all you really see them in. Especially the first game when you run into that guy that's, like, barbed to the fence.
Yeah. Um, if I recall correctly, in one of the supplemental lore books that they published for Silent Hill, when the town first became a problem, a noticeable problem to the outside world, there were concerns amongst certain factions within the government that part of the reason they were getting strange telemetry and readings off of the township as a whole was possibly because of some kind of radiological danger or some kind of unknown source of radiation. So they did want to explore with protective gear. But those people who were first sent in by the government didn't make it back out. And rather than warning the public, the government said, we're just going to stay away. And we don't want to cause a panic. So let's just go ahead and leave this place alone. Typical government stuff.
Well, here's another question I have. I know we're kind of getting that point.
Yeah.
Why are there no guns in Silent Hill? Like, as far as these cultists?
That's a good question.
They always
Not sure.
have like pipes and stuff and
Right. It may
cattle
that
prods and
that may stem from either because of the genre of the games, could just be as simple as that. Um, but it could also have to do with their god, which is a god of pain and blood. The use of a gun will terminate your prey quickly. You don't get a lot of pain out of someone who you just shoot in the head. But
you
if
don't
you
have to shoot
beat
them in the
them
head
and
though.
break their bones, it's fair enough. I'll grant you that. But you're going to run out of ammunition, and we are talking about a
Yeah.
group of people who they can't go out and bring stuff in from out of town easily. They got to wait to get people like bringing them supplies.
I
They've
guess
got
what I'm saying is like drastic measures, like let's say somebody comes from the outer world into Silent Hill and they want to hunt this person down because they think they're a threat as opposed to their
right.
normal
Why not?
day-to-day fucked up life.
Right. So why not have a gun or two around to make
Right.
short work of them?
Because you're
I don't
not
know.
dealing with creatures at that point, you're dealing with people.
Right. It's it's a genre mechanism.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. It's
But
just a
like it
genre
also
mechanism.
made me wonder like how does the player find a gun of any kind but they don't have guns?
Yeah, they're too busy doing cult stuff. I don't know.
I guess we could chalk it up to that, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sacrificing
Hey
little
Billy, go
girls
out
and
and find
stuff.
a gun.
Right.
Why would Billy go out and find a gun when he's too busy, slathering peanut butter on the back of his neck and going, "I will be the king of the gun," because it's what the God demands. I don't know. These people are fucking crazy. I can't explain their mechanisms and behaviors.
Right.
By the way, if you ever see somebody in an Arby's, stand up on the table, grab one of the horsey sauce containers, hold it over their crotch, and say, "I am the Emperor of Zamzabam." Squeeze it and start spraying sauce all over the place. Just remember, I did that when I was 14 and I was high as shit. And
Man,
I got kicked
me and a
out of that
buddy
Arby's.
went to an Arby's. It was like in Indiana, I believe. And let me tell you something. This Arby's is like in the middle of fucking nowhere. It was like something out of like a horror movie. It even had splatter paint on the wall.
Oh boy.
It was that old.
Wow.
Yeah. The people there were even fucking weird. Like they were almost like NPCs. They were that weird.
Are we talking like Hills Have I borderline kind of people?
No, like we shouldn't be here. We need to leave. Type weird. Like middle of nowhere. I don't know what real society is outside of this restaurant. Weird.
Okay.
That kind of weird.
Yeah, you get a sense of that. You got to boogie the hell out of there.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. Me and my buddy were like, we just looked at each other. We walked in. We're like, we need to fucking leave now. I'm getting bad vibes here.
There are places
And there were
for
dark
that.
roads across like where this Arby's was. I mean, it looked like a normal Arby's from the outside, but when we walked in, like, dude, you had to see it. It was
Kind of like
something,
one of
yeah.
those hotels in SCP where it's not really a hotel.
It just seemed like it was an older Arby's in the wrong timeline.
Ooh,
That type of vibe.
yeah, yeah, you found it, but you weren't supposed to.
Right. That's how it felt. It was eerie. It was like, I think 10 or 11 o'clock at night when we got there because we didn't eat nothing. We were hungry. We're just, me and my buddy looked at each other like, yeah,
Nope.
we need to go now. It was quiet too. And I think there were like 2 other people in there working. And like the guy at the register was just like staring off to the ceiling. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, dude. You came across like a staging ground. Are you familiar with that folklore?
No.
Staging grounds? Oh, that's something for us to get into a deep dive on.
All right.
It's definitely it has its roots in Americana. The concept of staging ground locations as a folklore in its entirety has really only been around since like the mid '60s. It's fascinating stuff, but we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, dude. It was just all
I
kinds
love
of.
it. I
Ugh.
absolutely love it, and it's the foundation for some of the SCP stories.
Um, I
So we'll
just I
definitely
don't know even how to feel about it. Like thinking about it now, it was just everything was so off.
yep. And that's a feeling that a lot of people get in staging ground locations. They're effectively previous or first draft versions of locations in our world that accidentally get dropped back into our world and can be interacted with temporarily. But if you linger too long, those rough draft people or places will decide to keep you and you will become part of the draft. You
So
don't
is it kind
belong
of
there.
like what do you call that? Kind of like a purgatory in a way.
A little bit, yes.
That's how it
You're
felt,
not
dude.
supposed, and that's why you feel like I'm not supposed to be here because you are literally in a location that was supposed to be pulled back behind the curtain so that the final version can go in its place. The final
Yeah, like
version, I
even the decor
trust
in there was off, dude. Like it was just like it was old. Like it should have been closed. Old.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, we'll
Like
dive more into that.
it didn't get the facelift, the modern facelift it should have. Old.
I want to get into that more with you, and at some point, just you and I talk about that.
It's
It's
fucking creepy, man.
and then yeah, we'll maybe include that or implement that into the
Yeah.
dive. So
But
anyway, it is about time for us to wrap, brother.
yeah, that's what we're doing right now because I'm gonna hop off here, get a nap in before I start my playthrough for Zoocosis. I finally bought Zoocosis.
Oh, nice, nice.
Hmm. So I'm gonna do that later tonight.
Melting giraffe faces.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take care of zoo animals that may or may not turn
and
into hideous creatures.
and we don't mean take care of as in groom and give them their food and pets. We mean take care of them.
Yeah. But
Tell
on
you
that
how
note,
bad what you
guys,
saw
yeah.
here.
Just stay for a second in the backstage real quick, but
Sure.
we're gonna hop off here, y'all. It's been fun. I know we kind of hopped on here and talked about something we weren't supposed to talk about. We were gonna talk about other things, but I had to get that one off my chest about Hawkeye.
About
Because I
Hawk
literally
Tuah.
had just, yeah, the Hawk 2. I literally
Hawkeye
just
Tuah.
seen that. Yeah. I had literally just seen that before I started the live. And I'm like, we have to talk about this.
God.
And I'm glad we did. We got it off our chest. We need to say.
Yep. It's vented.
Marvel, I'm very fucking disappointed in you. You guys know better. You know better.
Or at least they should. Look at what beautiful success you had when you gave us what we wanted in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put this slop in front of us? Get bent.
Mm-hmm. But on that note, guys, we're out here. Appreciate everybody coming through. And for those that are watching us on the recap, or not the recap, but the replay, we'll see you again on Wednesday. We still got to iron out the details of what we're going to watch or do.
We will. We will.
But until then, take it easy. We're out here. Peace out.
Cheers.